as the face of boxing steps back into the ring this weekend, but it just doesn't have the same feel to it, as Canelo Alvarez takes on Eric Berlanga. The fact that I just had to look down and read what his name was, kind of indicates that this isn't the name that people want for a Canelo Alvarez fight. This is not the fighter that is going to get people excited. At least Munguia in the last fight had some action background and some recognizable names on his resume. Berlanga has fought a grand total of 4 dudes who has a Wikipedia page, and Berlanga himself doesn't have a picture on his Wikipedia page. So we're not talking about the biggest name here or the most exciting draw. So the story for this fight follows a bit of a familiar path as the previous ones. The focus on this fight is more on who isn't fighting than who is fighting. And I thought it was a little unfair for the Munguia fight, because Munguia is one of my favorite fighters to watch right now, and for the Charlo fight, because that's a legitimate test. It wasn't the test we wanted, but that's at least a legitimate test for Canelo Alvarez, I think. This one, though, I'm on board with it for this one. This is not a fighter that gets you excited. It is not a fighter that should challenge Canelo in any way. And if he does, you can't come back and say, oh, all of you were doubting him. No, we were just seeing what it actually looked like before. Because nothing about this guy's resume has indicated that he should be fighting Canelo Alvarez. And I just feel like Canelo has run out of runway with these sort of fights. Charlo and Munguia were names that people knew, and you could at least get a little bit excited about. And when he fought a name that not a whole lot of people knew, it was a chasing glory thing. Whether it was moving up in weight, or unifying championships or something along those lines. There was okay, yes, he's only fighting this guy, but X, Y, and Z, whether it's title unification, moving up another weight class, whatever it is. There was some form of chasing glory. That's not happening here. Unless Canelo has long dreamt of beating a former NABO super middleweight champion, which is the highest recognition this guy who's stepping into the ring with Canelo has ever had in his career, then there just isn't anything there. This is the number 7 super middleweight in Ring Magazine's rankings right now. So he hasn't even built it up to be deserving of a championship opportunity, which are so weird in boxing anyway. But now we're putting him with Canelo? Like, none of this screams, this is the fight to make for Canelo Alvarez. The only time Berlanga has ever been mentioned among the greats is when he said, and I quote, I tried to go Mike Tyson on him when he tried to bite a guy in the ring. That's the closest this guy has ever come to being being mentioned as a high-level fighter, is that the comparison to Mike Tyson is he almost bit a guy. And so the first part of the Canelo build that is so familiar is, this guy really? Why are we doing this? The second part of it is you start to hear some people try to be smart. And you start to hear some people say, well, actually, if you go back and look at this fight, it's actually a really these gambling odds are way too big. That this guy is way more of a live dog in this fight than people are giving him credit for. And in this one, you can turn to the fact that he has the record with 16 straight first-round knockouts to start his career. That's a lot. That's a substantial amount. But again, who has he fought? And why? Even the most hardcore fans aren't going to tell you that Berlanga has a shot in this. If he lands a punch and knocks out Canelo, that's because it's a fist fight and these things happen. It is not because of something that we didn't see down the line or should have known. It's just because it's the fight game and weird things happen. And so let's just stop that part of the whole build-up now. The last part of it is always who should it be? Terence Crawford was getting that buzz for a little bit. I think his last fight with Madrimov kind of showed that he wasn't ready for this. And so that kind of led to that sort of slowing down a little bit. But David Benavidez absolutely should be the one who should be on this one. He probably should have fought Canelo last fight. He definitely should have been fighting him this fight. And he absolutely should be fighting him next one. If Saturday goes the way that we think it's going to go, he has to be the next one. And this is the last part of the Canelo Fight Week experience, is Canelo goes out, wins in the way that we think, and then everyone's like, well, if he doesn't face David Benavidez, it tarnishes his legacy forever. That's not going to happen here. So again, it feels like an all too familiar script for a Canelo Alvarez fight week. He's fighting who? Oh, but this guy has a chance. Yeah, but he maybe should be fighting this guy anyway. And then the last part of it is we say that he should be fighting David Benavidez after this fight, and it's going to end up that Canelo is probably going to be fighting a fighter that we all have to Google, and then we start through this all over again. I love Canelo Alvarez. He is absolutely one of my favorite fighters of all time, and I think anyone trying to dismiss him right now as the face of boxing is absurd. But even I can admit this whole song and dance is getting old. And this is not the level that he should be fighting at. And if we, as a fighting enjoying public, have to shell out a DAZN subscription and then a pay-per-view of $100 on top of that, eventually the draw isn't going to be there. And so that is what is at risk this weekend. It's that Canelo needs to start giving us more bang for his buck than just being Canelo.